Hi there, Coach Alexa here. There was a discussion in a group that I'm part of recently about the importance of listening to our bodies. Listening to our bodies when it tells us that we're tired, we're maybe doing a little bit too much training, we need a recovery week, we need to eat, we need to sleep. Listening to our bodies when they're telling us we're coming down with a bug or we haven't quite yet fully recovered from a bug or illness. And I couldn't agree more. I think slavishly following a training plan without listening to our bodies, tuning in and adjusting it as we go, isn't the most fantastic approach. For life and for training, it's best to listen to what our body's telling us and take it on board. I guess the next layer of thoughts around this is that actually, how easy is it to be good at listening to our bodies? And I say that because I think culturally, particularly in North America, in Western Europe, and I think we're exporting this culture to other parts of the world now, rightly or wrongly, we're busy and we try hard at work and we try to get that promotion, and we're busyness is seen to be a good thing, even though it's been proven not to be the most sort of effective or productive strategy. But being busy is seen to be good. And when we're busy, I'm not sure we have the time, and I'm not sure we give the time to our body for us to be able to listen to it. And I also think maybe almost we practice the opposite, from quite a young age. We go to school, we're in this sort of format where we have to kind of conform. It's not about what us and what our bodies want, it's just fitting into that sort of routine in that machine. The same can be said of work, particularly in larger organisations. So there are lots of ways where we're kind of trained not to listen to our body in a few different ways, if you see what I mean. And like any skill, something like listening to your body needs practice. So the more we practice, the better we'll get at it. And if we stop practicing it, that skill will start to fade and we'll get a little bit rusty. And also there's a model that I won't quote directly because I think the terminology around it is awful, but there's a model that effectively says a lot of us are in a stage where we don't realise that we're not very good at something. Then something will happen and we realise that we're not very good at something, but we suddenly become aware of that now. So you might have not realised that you weren't listening to your body at all until you got injured or till you launched back into training too quickly after getting the flu or something like that. So you've moved from didn't realise I even needed to listen to my body to kind of realise I need to, but I'm not very good at it. Realised I'm not very good at it. With practice, we then move to I am listening to my body, but I have to consciously think about it a lot. I have to specifically practice it, think about that practice time. It has to be something that I'm consciously doing and trying to check in on myself. And then eventually, as with any skill, we get to the point where we're doing it kind of on autopilot without having to consciously think about it all the time. And that's kind of what we're aiming towards with listening to our bodies. And as I say, I think life in general makes it difficult because we have routines, we have ways that our societies and our organisations work that do force us out of our comfort zones in some ways and put us in situations that we're not comfortable with. In a lot of cases, the coping mechanism is don't listen to the body, just get on with it and do it anyway. Using myself as an example, it's still a work in progress for me. I'm not sure whether I'll ever transition to that bit where I'm doing it on autopilot. I'm certainly a lot better at listening to my body than I was. I'm not perfect. I don't do it as much as I probably should. My habits around it are trying to structure some daily kind of practice into it. Early morning, a little bit of mindfulness, to do a little bit of physical and mental check-in on how I'm feeling as a bit of a setup for the day, a bit of a grounding. And then in the evening, before I go to bed, I keep a diary about lots of different things: training, life, work, friendships, relationships, stress levels, energy. So in that, I also try and reflect back on, throughout the day, where have I been listening to what my body and mind have been saying? Where have I not? What have I learned? All of that sort of good stuff. So a few thoughts on this one, really. It is incredibly important for our running to be able to listen to our bodies, and it helps us avoid overtraining. It helps us avoid, doing too much too soon. It helps us fuel ourselves well, hydrate ourselves well. It helps us reduce our injury risk because we hear those warning signs earlier. It helps us to get back into training more quickly after illness because we don't rush into it when we're still poorly. But it is a skill. It's a skill that needs nurturing, developing and practicing. Hope that's useful.